I remember the last time I spoke about baked beans version 2. There were so many people who contacted me on Telegram, and I think there was one or two comments on my video there, and they were telling me that some of the info that I spoke about is incorrect. This one is different. It's actually sustainable. So, anyways, so when someone is invested, you're gonna get this type of response because everyone wants to believe that the investment that they made is a good one and that this investment will last. Even though deep down they know that they still need more people to join after them for them to make any profit or to even, recoup their initial. So, as expected, last time we spoke about this, I think the contract was like 4.2k, and that wasn't so long ago actually. I think this new version has been running for almost 2 months or so. So when I did this video, that was a bit more than a month ago. And to lose more than 50% of the total value locked in the contract in that time frame, that's a bit too much in my opinion. So I'm gonna quickly go over their situation. Like, I don't really care about their announcements, everything that they've been doing. I just want to mainly focus about the current status of the contract balance, how are investors behaving, and if there are any new investors at all, and of course touch base on the claim that they will also generate third-party revenues through a portion of the contract balance. Alright, so as expected, and as I've mentioned, regardless of whatever the guys want to do with this miner, it's gonna be the same outcome every single time. You cannot push forward 3 to 6% a day. Okay, you can increase that through referrals to bring more people in and not expect this contract to go to zero at some point. And that was the case. I don't know if people are gonna even ROI based on what I showed you last time. So if you watched this video, good. If you didn't, I'm gonna leave a link to it below. In order for you to actually ROI without paying too much tax, because they added something called the has been tax, something like that. And this means that if you do claim every single day, or every other day, or every other 2 days, you're gonna get taxed heavily. So if you just want to follow the once every 9 days claim or 10 days claim, you need like 4 months to even ROI at this point and make some profit. And since the platform hasn't been live for that long, I think the number of people who are very close to ROI even are very small. And of course, some people would have made profits if they generated many referrals because they're gonna take a portion of their deposits, so on and so forth. So the only people who are gonna make it out of this DApp unscathed are the people with a huge number of following who basically led all of these people into the slaughterhouse. There's no other way to say it, unfortunately. And judging by the Dune Analytics, you can clearly see that as of late, I think for the past 24-25 days, the withdrawals outpace the deposits by large. Like, it's crazy to see that if you go down to the page to see every single day how this contract is performing, so to speak, look at the number of deposits look at the poor performance of the new deposits versus the number of withdrawals, right? It's insane. Now, one more thing I want to touch base on and I want to point out. So let's quickly pull out the statistics of how this contract has been behaving ever since I covered this, right? So the contract balance altogether has lost about 50% of its value. Now, keep in mind that by the time I'm recording this, by the time I've posted, this number would most probably decrease, so it would be like minus 60, minus 70%, who knows. But the point at which the acceleration in losing contract balance is happening, I think the end is pretty near. And just a few numbers for you to see what's happening. The number of deposits, or the amount of deposits, has been decreasing for the past 24 days at a pace of minus 4% every single day. And if you compound this, because it's an exponential decrease, So minus 4% on top of minus 4% for 24 days, that's a lot. And you clearly saw on Dunes that we ended up with like less than 1 BNB deposited today, which is crazy. And you know, by extent, the number of withdrawals is exceeding at an average of 60% the number of deposits. And again, that number keeps on increasing. I think as of late, it became, I think, what, 90-ish% of withdrawals versus the difference in deposits, which is absurd. As you clearly saw, judging from a numbers perspective, it looks bad, right? The deposits are shrinking at a very accelerated pace, at less than 1 BNB recently, and withdrawals have been exceeding, or at least have been exceeding from a 100 BNB, let's say, threshold, so on and so forth. Like there are days where it reached more than 300 BNB, which is insane, right? On a single day basis. Now, something that I also want to discuss is the claim of external revenue that will feed back into the main contract to reward investors, right? Because that's what you saw in the white paper. They mentioned that there's a community wallet that will be used for both giveaways and to generate more revenue from the main contract, for the main contract. 50%, 50%. Let's look at this community wallet to see how much it has, right? So that's the community wallet, 191.8 BNB, and 50% of this assumingly should be used to generate external revenue. Now, how much can this 50%, which is what, 95 point something BNB, how much can this do to obligations worth? If you look at the number of deposits, 6.4k BNB are earning at least 3% a day. Now, going to my Excel sheet, because I showed you this last time, look at it from a very logical perspective. So like I said, 95.5, almost that, will be used to generate external revenue. I don't know if they're doing that, but I don't think they are anyways. That hasn't even started yet. So that amount of deposits is doing at least 3% a day, right? Is generating 3% a day to give back to people. Now, I'm not gonna get into the range of 3 to 6. Let's assume it's 3 and that's it, right? So it could be more. Yes, I know there are taxes, so let's assume that after tax, even half of this, including the normal one and the has-been tax, half of this is being given back. So 90 BNB. Let's assume it's 90 BNB out of this. How much would the equivalent of 1 day's worth of obligation would be able to generate for people without new deposits? It's utterly ridiculous and impossible. What kind of protocol gives you 100% APR per day? This thing doesn't exist at all. Like, let's go a bit further. Let's say you're getting 1% a day from something that is also not sustainable, as we've seen, of course, with similar ROI wraps, so to speak. Let's assume it's the case, right? You're getting 1% a day. So in a year, you get close to 350 BNB in yield. So that amount would most probably be equal to 3 to 4 days worth of obligation to these investors. And then what? I'll tell you then what. Then the contract goes to zero. Simply, there's no way any amount of capital, they need millions to give that much per day for these people, and they don't have anywhere close to that, as you clearly saw. And by judging by the decrease of the contract on a daily basis, how exponential that is the case. So yesterday I saw it was 2056, now it's 1830. It's insane, right? It's losing 100 BNB plus a day. What is it? 20 days and it's gone, most probably. Could be less. And that brings me to my conclusion. This is a very high risk miner. There's nothing different with this than anything else. They're just banking on the name of baked beans when the version 1 happened. Keep in mind that the version 1 happened during a bull run, during the hype of miners, and people were throwing money at anything. So you cannot compare. They say this is an ROI DApp, and yes, because you're exchanging a static amount of BNB versus a static amount of beans, meaning there's no underlying decay, that's fine, but still, it's 3 to 6%. That's insanely high. You need the constant flow of new investors to feed the old ones. That's how it works, right? Unfortunately. So they leverage the name of the brand, so to speak, the buzzwords in auto IDAPs as of late, meaning one, the name itself, two, the external revenue part that many have tried to implement and all failed so far, because I don't think this can be done in any way, shape, or form unless there's a professional team doing this. And thirdly, they leveraged people who chill everything with the referral links to entice people to enter. And this is the worst part of it all. People, or these people, are shameless. I'm not gonna name names, but I've seen so many so-called drip YouTubers, for example. I mean, look at drip now. Let's not get into this. Maybe you've seen the video I made about them, but if you haven't, please check it out. I'll leave a link below. All of these so-called drip YouTubers who keep leading people to the slaughterhouse also do these types of miners and say, yeah, they talk about it, they chill it, and then they throw a word like, do your own research, it's high risk. Like, what's the point of even saying this? Don't put your referral link if you think it's high risk. Why do that? You know some people are just gonna click and FOMO. Why are you leading them into the slaughterhouse? That's very unethical and that's very shameless. Worst they can do when this goes to zero or this rugs, this won't rug, but if anything else rugs, they just remove the video and move on with their lives. No accountability whatsoever. Please stop following these people. Please stop clicking on their links. Please stop investing in these if you honestly have any other perception than playing a game and risking your capital. If you are in the same mindset that I am, that these are just games, worthless games, where you can experiment, perhaps make your investment back and then some, then good, go ahead and invest, that's fine. But if you honestly think that this could be sustainable or anything close to a good investment, don't do that. Don't just follow these people. They're just taking your money and they're making shit up in the process, all right? Don't do that. I'm gonna keep covering this. I'm gonna keep talking about this either in this type of video frame or an overview perspective where I lay out the rules of the game and how it's played, and if you want to risk some capital, go ahead. I never post referral links, even if I do an objective overview. And I'm gonna talk about both pros and cons, and unfortunately there are no pros in this, so I cannot really say anything positive about it. And all of these so-called partnerships, like I said, they're doing are nothing more than miners investing in miners. There's nothing more. All right, so I really hope you listened to everything I had to say. Thank you for sticking on to the end if you have. See you in the next one. Have a good one.